Hello, I'm Executive Chef Joseph Schutze, and welcome to our kitchen. Today I'd like to share with you my recipe and procedure for preparing an amazing lobster bisque. It is not the fastest or perhaps not the easiest recipe or procedure to follow, but make no mistake about it, their efforts will be rewarded at the end by having a very flavorful and silky smooth lobster bisque. So join me now as I show you how I prepare this great soup. Well, before we begin, if you like the content of the videos that are putting out and you've not done so yet, please subscribe to the channel and enable all the notifications and be up to date for our latest posts. For all of you who are currently subscribed, thank you very much. I really appreciate your support and keep looking forward to the next videos. So let's dive right in. Well, to begin with our live lobsters, what we have here, the industry refers to them as chicken lobster or chick lobsters. They are 1 pound each. If you get ones that are around 1.25 pounds, those are called quarters. Anywhere from 1.5 pounds to 2.25 pounds are called select, and anything 2.5 pounds and above are referred to as jumbos. Now, what to do with our lobsters? I'm a very, very firm believer in sustainability and also humanely treating the animal, whether it's when you're feeding it, whether you're raising it, or also in the processing side. So you will never see me take a live lobster and throw it into a pot of boiling water. What I do is I go for a more swift kill. I won't show it on YouTube because I'm not certain about the rules on it. What you would do is you would take your knife behind where the skull is, behind the eyes here, work your way back, and about 1.5 inches behind, take your blade of your knife and go straight directly into one direct motion, and then take the knife forward down to split it. That is a quick instant kill for the lobster. There will be some movement with it, but those are just the nerves that are contracting. Okay, now that they are lifeless, let's go ahead and take off our claws, the tail, put the bodies into a bowl, as we will need that for our stock, and actually the base of the soup will be made from the bodies. And then on the tail, a good thing to do is, what's helpful tool is kitchen shears. Use your shears and then just cut down the bottom of the tail of the shell. Or you could do something like this, is kind of squeeze it until they crunch the whole way, and then I just peel it apart. Then I'd like to take my knife, score down the center of it, and remove the intestine tract if it's there. Sometimes it pulls out when you take it from the body. And now you have your lobster tail. This we could save as is with the end on it. You know, if you wanted to do another dish, a pasta dish or something, and just adds a little more presentation to it. If you're going to use it all for, you know, a macaroni and cheese or for the bisque garnish or whatnot, feel free to remove the tail if you like, the end of the shell here. Whatever you decide to do is fine. Now that we have the tails cleaned off, the claws separated, what I like to do is cook the claws first. I find it's easier to remove the meat from the knuckle and the claw after it's cooked. So, on to the next step. I have a pot preheating over high heat. I'll add a little bit of oil. And then go ahead and add some onion and carrot. Let's go ahead and saute this for about 2 minutes. Now, I will add some tomato paste. Tomato paste is going to do a couple things for us. One, it's going to help as a thickening agent, and it's also going to help with some nice color. So be careful. Go ahead and start to stir it immediately so it doesn't burn. Once your tomato paste is moved around or spread out all over the vegetables, let's go ahead and deglaze with some white wine. Go ahead and add our lobster bodies. This is going to make our stock, and it's also going to be the base. Now, let's go ahead and add our water, and then let's add our sachet. We have in there is bouquet garni, and what I have in mind is bay leaf, peppercorns, thyme, and parsley stem. Reduce the temperature from high down to about medium low, and then allow this to simmer for 20 to 30 minutes. Well, here we are near completion. I like to remove the stock and the carcasses from the heat. Let's go ahead and remove our sachet, and I will squeeze out any type of juices if I can get any. Set it there. And now, this is the one thing that we learned in culinary school, most of us chefs, is now we're going to puree the bodies inside here. So using an immersion blender, and let's go ahead and start pulverizing. Well, there we are. We have the bodies pulverized greatly. Next step is to strain this through a cheesecloth and a china cap. Well, now I recommend straining through a china cap lined with cheesecloth. And this is, for those that don't know, this is what a china cap looks like. It's just a conical shaped sieve. Now, you could use a chinois, and a chinois is a conical shaped sieve, but it's a fine mesh. And I'll tell you one thing, cleanup on it is really horrible. So cheesecloth always makes it easier. Now all we need to do is ladle our lobster stock through this and catch the goodness on the other side. All right, now we're one step closer to the end. This is an optional step, and I recommend doing this just before service, is flambe some brandy. In the kitchen, in a professional kitchen, I would get the pan hotter and let it immediately hit and kind of catch fire. But when you're at home, you got to be careful. We don't have Ansel systems usually. So I will light it this way and do our thing. Carefully just burn off the alcohol. And once it extinguishes, go ahead and pour it into your lobster stock. Also, the lobster stock, we want to bring it, after it was strained, let's bring it to a simmer. Let's go ahead and add our velouté. Now this velouté, I tend to make it a little thicker than I normally would, and it's because this doesn't have much viscosity to it outside of, you know, the shells and other components of it that got pureed. Let's go ahead and add that. Go ahead and gently incorporate. And then we want to bring this to a simmer and allow it to simmer for about 5 minutes. Well, there we are. If you notice, the level was a hell of a lot less. That's because I took some out and I'm going to put it in quart containers and set it to the freezer. So the next time we have it, all I have to do is bring it to a simmer like this. I add hot, heavy cream to it, and then maybe some salt and white pepper if I need to. And then garnish it with some, lobster. Now it's important to add your heavy cream. Have the heavy cream hot. Don't have it boiling. And we'll go ahead and add. And then just go ahead and whisk it together. Well, here you go. After adding the cream, you see we have a really nice consistency and fluidity to this. Now the next thing I like to do is I will pour this through a fine mesh strainer. Just in case some of the roux has not dissolved completely and blended through, you might have little small clumps of it. And also, I love passing it through the fine mesh because it's gonna add even another layer of silky consistency to it. Well, there you have lobster bisque prepared in the manner that I do. This is the way that I learned it 20 plus years ago in culinary school, and I'm yet to find another method that will yield this richness and intense flavor of lobster. It is definitely worth the effort, but I will say, definitely have a plan. Having things like the velouté already made or having a seafood stock in the freezer ready to go will definitely shorten the cook time and the labor involved with everything. You could get frozen, fresh claws from the Asian market that are reasonably priced as well, but now you have to go through all the trouble of cleaning all those shells to build the body of your soup. So where I have the carcass and everything in the legs and everything going with it, I'm able to build a much richer body for the stock than if I were just clipping 50 claws. It's a lot more work. You could even not add the cream to the bisque. And what to do is maybe whip the cream a little bit till you get kind of like a soft peak whipped cream, and have your sherry or alcohol infused into it, dollop that on the soup, and as it melts into the soup, you can kind of incorporate it with your spoon. Well, thank you for joining. I hope you enjoyed today's presentation. I hope you give it a shot. For all you lobster bisque fans that have made it other ways, give this one a shot and compare them and tell me what you think. Thanks again for joining. Yoet Fayed.